Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. When we hear the word bullying, we often think of school bullying, even cyberbullying. But what about bullying in the workplace? My guest today has opened up the doors of his home to invite us in to discuss his story, as well as a program that he has come up with his father, Asking Myself Association. Please welcome Eddie Rocky Rivera, Danny Angetic, right? Did I say that correctly? Angetic Rivera, and John Paul Ceramello. Gentlemen, thank you so much for inviting us in today and for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
I appreciate that. And as I said, bullying is such an epidemic in this country, and I feel like the numbers are on the rise. We were talking a little bit before the show. Suicide rates are up when it comes to bullying. And when it comes to bullying in the workplace, it's not very heard of. And Danny, that's actually happened to you. I'm actually going to start with you. Tell us your story.
Well, basically, I would always go to work, and I would always get basically, quote unquote, bullied by certain people because I worked for Brookhaven Town Hall, but it was a private contractor that actually, they used to make fun of me as going to work. They would write me up for just things that I never even heard of to even be on there. And then, it's like a little spot was not clean. I would get yelled at for that. And I just feel like a lot of times I just got the wrong end of the stick when I was basically just trying to do my job, trying to work, and just trying to, live a productive life, trying to make money to for myself, as a young individual and trying to help myself out instead of sitting here always getting yelled at, flipped out about. I feel like it's the same process that kids go to school,
Right.
Like a kid will go to school and get bullied by somebody that's bigger than him, right? Now, in the workplaces, I feel like people got more power and people abuse their powers in certain ends.
Absolutely.
So what happens is basically when they go, when you try to work and they're ahead of you, but I'm not going to say any positions because I don't want nobody to take this out of but they're ahead of you in certain ways in the companies and they can sit there and they can actually come across certain ways. But when you speak up on it, they will sit there and they will neglect and basically say they never did it.
Now, when you say that they made fun of you, what exactly did they say to you?
They called me a lot of bad words. They made fun of me in different languages. It was a whole bunch of I can't even really express it because it was a whole bunch of things like just little things, but not even like really little things. It was just things that kept adding on to bigger things, to bigger things, to bigger things, to bigger
See,
things.
he's Spanish, but the thing is he doesn't speak it. So the boss was saying Spanish things to the other workers, and
Wow.
what happened was they didn't know that he understands it. Maybe he doesn't speak it, but he understands when they're saying something that was wrong. So
Wow.
that's what happened with her. And she was trying to make it such an issue to try to embarrass him in front of all the other Spanish workers, which I thought was ridiculous. The guy couldn't be that bad of a worker if he was there 3.5 years. And then to top it off, when she let him go, they had to hire a couple of people just to do his one job.
Wow.
So that's why I look at it when everybody asks me certain amounts. Plus, I won a lot of awards over there for people that get bullied. From Dan Panico, Ed Romaine, thank God for them. They are great people. They run the town super well. And, they gave me a proclamation, Kathy Walsh. So, I appreciate that whole town. I want everybody on the record to know the town wasn't the town. It was a company that was.
It was just certain people that were in power that.
Well, it wasn't a town. It was a private company that was actually.
Listen,
subtracted
you were
into
put
the
down verbally, and that's abuse too. You were put down to feel inferior and to be called things and names that nobody deserves to be called.
Absolutely,
And that's
especially
it.
in the workplace.
That's it.
I mean, these are
You didn't
things
know
that-
how to put it that way, but I'm helping you. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, when people think of being bullied, as I said, it's something that happens in the schools, and especially with all social media now, it's happening a lot cyberly. I mean, you never think that you'd be bullied as an adult. I mean, what did that make you feel like to be?
I was kind of shocked because, when you go through the whole matter of actually really being bullied and actually not wanting to go to work, it's like a kid that doesn't want to go to school.
Right.
Like the 600, I feel like the 660,000 kids that every day make excuses not to go to school because they're feeling bullied. So I felt like I just didn't want to even go to my job. I didn't want to go talk to anybody. I was always getting frustrated. I was always getting nervous that I was always going to get fired for one little thing. And it's been going on too with other people. It's not just me. It was other people that was hired too. People who I know went through the same process as me, and they kind of told me they kind of told me after I was done, they actually were inside the same experience that I actually came into,
Wow.
crossing this path in my life. So
I mean, it isn't very heard of, as we said. I mean, when we think of bullying, it's always something that's happening in school with students. So to be adults and being bullied, I mean, it seems so far-fetched. And like you said, it's like you don't want to go to work, just like that student doesn't want to go to school. I mean, so many people can't even stand up for themselves. I mean, how did you stand up for yourself?
I said
when
I'm
you
done
did?
with this. I said I'm not gonna see myself get bullied, made fun of, laughed at any which way. I did it the best way I can, the best way that I know, and the way that can actually really get to people's minds better is through music, through the soul, through the heart, through the eyes. That's why we made Ask Myself organization, me and my father, co-founders. Because I'm like, listen, I think it's time for people to understand. I didn't know half of my rights. I don't have a union. A lot of people that I know work at certain places that don't have unions, that don't understand what's really going on with the whole, I'm going to say epidemic, the whole epidemic of like what's really going on. Like people try to basically get the best of you. I wanted to show people like, listen, I'm here. I've been through the same experience as you. Listen, maybe we can all work together and gap this whole entire, like, I'm going to put this, basically, how can I just get everybody together and understand what's going on? Just like what Amma says, AMA, love and peace. Love and peace inside yourself. That's how I feel. Because I feel a lot of times people want to basically abuse or bullied, that we mattered, go through like the whole ideas of basically they can get the best of you. And I want to show people, listen, with Amma, we want to try to help you. We want you to understand. We want peace and love. Even though, a lot of times people are going to say that's a hard goal to get. But if we all work together and people really put their minds to it, we can get to it.
Absolutely. I mean, what inspired you to start the AMA, Asking Myself Association?
That whole incident with me and then having a best friend named Kevin Clark. He was bullied at a young age, beat up, put in lockers, socks, all that. Had to protect him, my other friend Chris, Mike. I know so many kids that I know I helped basically in my journey, in my way of life, to actually show them, listen, it's cool. It happens to everybody. You're an adult now. Let's grow up together and let's understand what happened. That's your childhood. Let's put that away. So when I go up and I talk to the kids and I want to make the kids realize what they're doing isn't fair. Like I've been to a lot of schools, talking to a lot of kids, and the kids listen. They understand. I have kids coming up to me and saying, listen, I understand what I did was wrong. I won't do it again. I'm sorry, Mr. Danny Energetic Rivera. I learned my ways. Like, you know how good that makes me feel to know the kids they were bullying, they're going to stop bullying because I came into the school. I talked to the kids. I reached, even if it's 100 kids and I reached 2. You know how good that makes me feel?
They can relate to you.
They can relate to me. They can understand what's
Because
going
you're
on.
not that much older than they are, really.
Exactly. That's why I did it too, because I'm like, I have the image. I look young. And I am young, but I'm saying I look young. I look like one of their brothers.
Right, right.
So when I talk, it's like a big brother basically talking to him and saying,
"Wow, you're a lot younger than me, telling them things." So
I feel like a lot of times
they listen to you.
I feel like a lot of times the kids won't listen. The kids
Right.
won't understand. Like they don't want to listen to somebody that's like their moms, their dads, the grandpa age. They're like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. We know everything, but
They tend to relate to somebody in their age bracket a little bit more.
Exactly, age bracket, yeah. So they can understand where I'm trying to help the kids and trying to gap all this immaturity. Like I had the song Immaturity. All this, like, even with the kid.
But what he's talking about, the situation with the school, well, it's the funniest thing because he went to, we were working, you see, he was working on a project that we were working with Nancy Vasquez and Michelle Gamble Francesco's. And they have a movie called The Right to Live and everything, and they had a song there called Wake Up. So what happened was he would go to the school and talk to the kids and all that kind of stuff. You gotta wake up from all this bullying and that. But what made me laugh was one day he was a little late to get to the school. They got a police escort.
Yeah, they got
That actually gave him a police escort and actually got him to the school.
And
Wow.
all the kids.
And all the kids seen him
Don't be
again.
afraid the kids will
And
wreck
they
the
went-
school.
they went-
They
exactly.
don't
They
get
went
there.
all the kids, listen, I had over 300 kids
They
up
went-
on stage
They went
with me.
crazy when they said
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's
300 kids up on stage with me. After I was done, about 50 of them came over and literally, I have like a picture of everybody just hugging me together.
Wow.
I went into that school, right, and they were talking, and nobody was paying attention. I walk in there, and all of a sudden, all the kids are just, oh my God, there he is! And I started laughing. And
You become a star to them.
You know what?
Inspiration.
I become a leader.
Genius.
I
He's
become a
genius.
leader. That's what I try to say.
Yeah,
I become a leader. I want to become somebody they're gonna look up to because they do not. And I'm gonna repeat this. My generation, if I know why, like the generation before, the generation after me is running wild because they don't have no leaders. They don't have no people to look up to.
Right.
I looked up to so many artists when I was young. These artists I see now, I don't look up to them. I look down to them. I'm like, how can
So
you?
gangster stuff.
Not,
Yeah.
it's that, but at the same time, where's the substance? Where's the belief? Where's the background stories?
Right.
Where's the heart?
I mean, Eddie, you've worked in music for many years too as a talent age. I mean, there must be so many drastic changes in music today. You know, what Danny's talking about
Well,
here.
you know, when I worked in the music business, I actually worked with a couple of people that were out there. There's a guy called R.A. the Rugged Man. He's actually still out there now. I mean, he's selling records all over the country now and everything. I remember when he first got signed to Jive, and I was involved with that whole Clusterfied Did situation with them and everything, and it was awesome. And I'm happy for him now because, I mean, he should have been the Eminem of the century. Unfortunately, he didn't work it the way he was supposed to work it, but now he's doing great. I'm happy for him. I work with Biz Markie. Me and Biz Markie had so many good times together and everything. And,
Right.
and it, you know, I work with different people, so I like to watch people come together. Like even with Cockroach from the Cosby Show. Me and him used to write stuff together and everything. And, you know, I was fortunate that I was able to meet a lot of these people and all of that. But a lot of these kids back then, they had messages.
Yeah.
They put messages together. Why does LL Cool J sell so many records? Because he sung to the woman all about love. How are they not going to soak that up?
Exactly.
And
I
you
mean,
understand? And he always had, you know, you always had the positive messages. A lot of these kids now, they don't have that positive message. They feel that because this artist comes out like this, I have to sound like him. That one comes out like, I got to sound like him. No, you don't. You sound like yourself.
Exactly.
And you're
You
your
be
own
yourself.
person. You be your own person.
and now you're producing music with Danny here.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
You know.
I love it. We write, you know, we write together.
Well,
and all that kind
technically,
of stuff,
he
and-
does a lot of. I'm not gonna lie.
I
to you.
write
He
a lot
does
of the singing records. But he knows how to do all the rap. Like the kid.
I'm
doesn't
illegible.
write
I
nothing.
can't write.
He
Like,
doesn't
I'm not gonna
write
lie to
nothing.
everyone.
It comes right out of his
Like,
mind.
I mean, if you had the time and there was a marathon, he could keep going. And everything would sound terrific.
Yeah,
He just knows how to just put these words
it going.
together. I mean,
Wow.
he's a genius in this music.
But these are
There's no
songs that
doubt
have
about it.
messages, as we were just
Right.
talking
That's
about.
why we're very upset when what happened to him happened, because they were so unfair, not realizing how much of a mind he really has
Right.
and what a person he is to
Right.
society and you know and everybody around him.
How
So
long?
me as a reverend minister, I mean, I just said this is a great fella to be around. He's gonna change a lot of minds and hearts, and if I can help in any way I can, you know, I just.
I mean, Danny, how long had that gone on for before they had actually let you go?
About 2 years.
Wow. So a year into the job is when it started. What changed, do you think?
No, actually, the first time when I met the person, I kind of knew the job was gonna go sour because the first time when I went into the building, they didn't even know I was even hired. So when that happened, I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna have a good experience in this job, but I'm gonna try to make it.
But
the
you
best
stuck
I
it
can.
out.
I tried, you know. It's just certain times when somebody just puts like that pressure on you, it's just it goes sour, and then you know that it's just not gonna work out, and you try to do it the best way you can, but at the same time, you know, when you get the pressure that actually prevails inside the way that these people just
Who knows
want
what their real motives were?
Exactly.
They wound up getting a couple of their friends in there in the long run that they were trying to get in there,
Exactly.
and
Right.
they just kept digging him, and
Until I
you know
left.
he just kept taking it and taking it. You know,
I'm sure there
enough
were
is enough.
ulterior. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were ulterior motives. I mean, I'm sure people watching this show back now are probably saying, you know, that happened to me. I've been belittled by my boss. I get embarrassed.
Exactly.
But I think so many
That's
people
why.
are afraid to step
Exactly.
up and stick up for themselves because, as we all know, at this day and age, we can't live without working. We can't live without a weekly paycheck. It's not possible. And I think that's really what makes people just kind of suck it up. But your message is they don't have to suck it up. They can stand up for
You
themselves.
know why? Because I think if people get, because you know, like, come on, let's be honest. Work should
This-
be work is good for the mind, but you shouldn't have somebody. You got so much things to worry about in life. You got bills. You got kids. Say you
Right.
got kids. Got car payments. You know, you gotta start thinking about, listen, why don't the bosses just make my life a little bit easier? I know things, they should have a law where you get in trouble if you take stuff from home and bring it into work. Like, come on, you can't take that attitude and go at your employees. What you gotta do is you gotta respect everybody the same way that you gotta be respect. Don't be disrespected by nobody else but yourself. You look at them and you're like, do I really need this? That's why in the hook I wrote, why ain't I rich now? Because that's what people always want. That's what people always hungry. That's what people always need.
Right.
If you think about it, what does people say at the time when they're the most desperate, after they're done praying? Why ain't I rich now?
Which is true.
It is true. Well, we actually have your video right behind me here. We're going to take a look at it right now. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Danny Energetic Rivera, and I'm basically setting up a program for work bullying, helping out people that have been bullied at work. It is a very big problem, people. People got to understand. It's time for you to take charge of your own life. Even if you get made fun of because of you have disabilities. I have been made fun of for that. I have been laughed at in my jobs for that. That's why I made this program, to help you out, because I don't want you guys to feel the same way I do. We're basically helping out everybody that has been work bullied, made fun of, laughed at because, you know, they can't speak proper English. I'm here to help everybody out, okay? It's called Asking Myself. And listen, please support, because you know what? I know this happens in everyday lives. Everybody's just like, oh, but this is a really big problem, and it really has to be stopped. And I'm going to show everybody the video right now.
I'm getting nothing. Look at this. Whoa. Pick it up. Hey.
Going to sleep at night, working a full-time job, trying to pay the bill. Things are getting on.
I need someone to pay my bills.
Coming home angry, asking myself why haven't I made it? Haven't I made it? Haven't I made it? The passion for this music keeps me grinding. I wanna shine like a diamond. Why ain't I rich now? That's the question I ask myself. Why ain't I rich now? That's the question I ask myself.
Do the job. Let's get it done.
My lady don't love me no more. My sister wanna kick me out. People making empty promises, and I feel like talent don't count. Every day is a challenge when you're living life on balance. Asking myself, why haven't I made it? Why haven't I made it? The passion for this music keeps me grinding. I wanna shine like a diamond.
What are we gonna do now? I need someone to pay my bills.
Like that? I lost my job, and that's how you do it?
Yeah, that's your job.
Alright, I'll ask myself. People, it's time for everybody to take a stand. If you get made fun of and you get bullied, I want you just to remember this. Ask yourself.
Well, very powerful video there, Danny. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Now, let me ask you, were you also bullied as a child growing up?
Well, the thing is, I was a special ed student too, so I was actually around. Yes, I have got bullied, but I was around a lot of my peers. Like I said, my best friend Kevin, I watched him get bullied to the fullest. I watched him get beat up, put in lockers, dirty socks in his mouth.
Wow.
I remember when the janitors used to have to go and try to pry him open, pry the lockers open. It was sad, and then you would have all these people like looking at us differently because we would be inside the special ed wing. But I didn't care because I always told myself, because I was a jock, I played football, baseball, so I really got out of that kind of circle where they would say, "Oh, you got bullied, you got." I never bullied the kids. I would always help the kids that would get bullied because I was always a big kid. So I would never worried about that aspect. But have I? The question is, yes, I have. I felt it when I was a kid, and that's why too. I think I took it, not saying more personal, but I understood it more when I was getting bullied at work.
I think obviously now with social media, Facebook, Twitter, all those social media sites, that just makes the cyberbullying that much worse.
Oh
Do you agree?
I think of what's happening
It's
with
horrible.
I think what's happening with the whole websites, and like I was talking on another show.
Crush people.
I was
Yeah.
talking to another show, Hood to Hood Radio, and they were telling how it's crazy how the kids can get into a fight now, and then all of a sudden they'll be on some world star. And I feel like, you know what, at the same time, I feel like that a lot of times can drove somebody over the edge. Think about it, seeing you basically on there in your worst moment, getting beat up or just basically getting antagonized by a whole bunch of people. Then all of a sudden now, people that you don't even know on the internet now, writing comments. People that don't even know who you are, don't know anything, but just writing horrible comments about you, making fun of the whole moment, and then you have to relive that. So that's why cyberbullying, I gotta even say, I feel like is another very deadly bullying. And that's another cause of reasons why kids commit suicide.
I mean, you all have a wonderful organization. We talked a little bit about it earlier, Asking Myself Association. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about that and what it does.
Well, what Asking Myself Association is doing is it's raising awareness. That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're giving people the advice that we're knowledgeable about. Like, okay, so say a kid gets bullied in school. What happens? The first thing you got to do is you got to go to the school. You got to go to the school. You got to make a complaint over there. They are supposed to right away report it to authorities. Because God forbid something happens to that child, hey, they already warned you guys. They told you guys.
Right.
So we're basically saying that Alma's more about let's do the awareness. Exactly.
We can bring them without the red tape to the right people.
Right.
Hopefully. Okay? And what Rocky was saying in the beginning there, yes, I mean, you have to, in the school system, you have to report it to the school.
Right.
Then, of course, well, if it's not the parents, then they've got to call the parents too. But you have to tell your parents what you did that day, because you just couldn't go on anymore, and mom and dad were working, and I couldn't get a hold of you, but this is what happened, and I went to tell the principal or the assistant principal or the guidance counselor, somebody, what happened, and I hope they wrote it down. But see, children might not be as verbal or as of what I had just mentioned.
True.
So
They hide it a lot.
I think because they're scared too.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're afraid to
They
come
have their
forward.
peers that are gonna jump all over them. I mean, it's really tough.
It really
They're being
is.
scared out of their milk money. They're being scared out of everything, by bullies. So
Right.
we don't. It's tough. So we can only give a little, of advice. But we're, like you said, it's an awareness.
No doubt, I mean, you brought comfort to people that are watching, because whether you brought comfort to a bullied student or a bullied worker at their job, I think some people will feel a little bit better tonight after watching this show. So I
And
thank you.
relationships too.
Good.
Relationships, it plays a big part in
Absolutely.
it. Because a lot of bullying
There's a lot of
going on.
domestic violence,
on
which is the
right.
same thing, really.
Exactly. They coincide with each other if you really come to look at
Absolutely.
it. So I agree with you 100%,
50-50
And,
relationships. That's how it should be.
If I could just say something to the parents.
Sure.
Really, it's so important to ask questions to your children. They're your flesh and blood. Even if you adopted them, you wanted you to love them. They're a child. They're not just some little thing that you can kick around. They are your whole body. They're somebody that needs you. Their minds need to be cultivated from what you give them.
Absolutely.
And you have to care about them. And you have to know that you brought them up right. Because this is what you're showing in your life. Mm-hmm. You're showing how your children are being raised. And it's so important that you put them on the right road. So if they're having problems, ask questions, delve. Don't do it in a nice way. The more you can be and ask your children, the more you don't just send them to their room and be with them and let them be there with you all the time, and get to know them. Try to get them out into different things, dance, sports, singing, music, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I'm the Suffolk County Boy Scout Commissioner.
Absolutely.
I'm the commissioner of the Suffolk County Boy Scouts, so one of 6.
And it'll help build their confidence too.
That's it. We just try to lay the tools out there and hope that they use it properly. And then if they don't, then we just have to just let them know, well, there's a better way of doing it. You know, I've learned. Don't always say, you know, I know everything. You know, I had to learn the same way. You know, little Johnny, little Mary. You know,
Right.
like
Can I
little
say-
Eddie, little Danny.
Can I say something for the kids
Sure.
real quick?
Jump right
For
in.
all you kids Instagramming and talking about the grammar that probably one day, boy, leave you back in the slammers. Why don't we just be honest to each other than others? Why don't we start treating each other just like brothers instead of treating the opposites? And the game is so obsolete. Saying it's hard to peep, but the bullets is hard to sleep.
There you go.
I just want
Well
you kids to
done.
understand knowledge and to understand all your actions. If it's positive, it's going to go a good way. If it's negative, can leave you in a lot of turmoil, locked up, and having the wrong roads to go through, even to follow. You can be as strong as you say you are, but you got to understand something. Your actions speak harder than words. And I want everybody to understand that's listening and watching this show right now, that this show is telling you so much information. And if you're listening to it right now, sit down, jot yourself a little pencil. If you're a young kid trying to learn about bullying, stick up for yourself, but not in the wrong way. Because I never promote violence. A strong person is not letting that person take your power. Anyway, and I want every person whose parents to listen to what Reverend John just said, because you know what? Open up to your kids more and understand your kids a little bit more. Because that's what we're missing.
Don't just rely on the teachers. They have a lot of children in their classroom. They don't know them as good as you do.
Exactly.
Right.
So you love them. They don't love them. You love them and you care about them, and you make sure that interaction is comes out with them, that they want to go to you. They want to trust you. That's what we're trying to get across
AMA.
here. Okay?
Peace, love. Remember that.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for opening your doors
thank you
today.
so
I mean, a
much.
lot of
Thank you.
information, as you said. Is there a website or an email that our viewers can get in touch with you on?
Yeah, you can go on our Facebooks, like I told you, Eddie Rocky Rivera, Danny Energetic, John Paul Saramello. You can go onto our YouTube, same thing. Go on to Eddie Rocky Rivera, Danny Energetic. We all got our own YouTubes. You can go on my Twitter. My Twitter is Eddie Rivera Jr. You can also go on our blog. We got our own blog. If anybody also wants
Yeah, I'll give you mine, too.
my email, like I said, is EddieRockyRivera@gmail.com. Send your stories. Just give me permission, and we'll put them out there. And we'll just make people aware.
And
You know.
I'm
And thank you so much.
Oh,
Just-
thank
just
you.
for
My
having us.
pleasure. As a
You're
bully victim
great
myself
host
growing up,
and
it's
everything.
great to see good people like you doing something to
Thank
help
you.
promote.
Thank you, definitely.
you can get me at revjohn14@yahoo.com. Okay? And I have a website, revjohn14.com. And I'll do ceremonies for weddings for anybody out there.
Thank you, gentlemen,
my
once again.
Nice.
I appreciate you opening your doors and sharing this with us
you,
today.
thank
No
you
doubt
so
we brought
much.
some comfort to some people
Oh,
tonight.
yeah,
So,
That's it. That's
Thank
all,
you
that's
again.
what matters. Thank you so much.
and if you at home have a story you'd like to share with us, send us an email to thejasonshow@yahoo.com. As always, I thank you at home for joining us. See you next time.